Hello, my name's Denise DeFara and I'm an artist. And right now behind me, I've got a collection of 18 framed paintings and they're all together at once. And I just really felt the urge that I needed to have a conversation about this moment in time, being surrounded by this work and how that makes me feel, what it's taken, how long it's taken, what it's taken to get here. Just as a significant milestone in my own personal artist journey. I've been painting for over 20 years, and some of those years have been quite challenging in not knowing where I'm heading, what I'm painting. You know, I call myself an intuitive painter, and painting is like a healing, self-healing practice as much as wanting to create beauty. There's a process, there's an honesty that I want in the work that has my heart and touches other hearts. That's kind of important to me, to have a richness and a depth to it. And whilst the end result may not always look that way, I know what's gone in, and often it's many layer upon layer upon layer, and I change the colours and the textures and the things until I'm satisfied. And even having said that, satisfaction is such a hard one thing. Perfectionism has you believing that they're never good enough. And so I contend with that as well. So I just wanted to take a moment to chat about them all as a collection. And then I'm going to take out the groups of ones that go together, and they kind of share a shared story. So whilst they're all together, what can I say? That some of these works have been around me for a couple of years, and that's another thing too. It's like they wanted and I wanted to have a reunion after they've all just come back yesterday from being framed. Even I've had blockages about framing. It's an expensive thing to get all your work framed, and it's a big investment, you know, and on that goes to the credit card, and you have to have some faith that the work can sell. And that's been really hard for me over the years, is believing in work selling. And that speaks to your own self-value, self-worth, all that stuff it comes up along the artist's journey, which makes it sometimes so painful. It's ridiculously painful sometimes. And in most recent times, I've been really excited to happen upon some of the quotes of Matisse, Henri Matisse. And you will see pieces in this work that Matisse, his influences started to come in. And I have just been amazed. This might become all jumbled up how I express this, because it's how I kind of think sometimes in circles and squiggles and spirals. It's not like a linear thing that I can just tell you from start to finish in the right order. So I just might not even try. I can just bounce around and you make from it what you will. The Matisse pieces first came in where I was loving his posters of his cutouts, the blue figures where he's cut out the pieces. And so this one has that as like a featured poster in the painting. And that just made me so happy when I put that in, that it was like that feeling I knew I was onto something. Because of the joy and the level of just the yumminess. But I'll come back to that group because they have their own story, and I'll come back about Matisse as well in another group, because you'll see a face that arrived. And so that's been a thing, is that I had the majority of the newer work has a chair or a seat, and I had called them loosely sitting with it. And that has been what I'd come to the conclusion this year, I suppose. I just have to sit with it. The discomfort of the not knowing, the discomfort of COVID and all that has entailed, and the lockdowns and the division and the sheer vastness of the discontent in the world and in Australia where I live between people and differing views and beliefs. And I'm very empathic, sensitive, and so I sometimes have times where I'm not having anything particularly wrong going in my life, but I can still feel the collective energy, and it impacts on me sometimes. It really impacts on me. And so all of this comes in, you know, in wanting to have this daily painting practice. And some days it was just not working out. And so the idea of just sitting with it came as being a theme that started to interest me. And early in the year, I heard of the idea of the 100-day project, where you set yourself a task to do something every single day for 100 days. Or, as I'd heard some people share, 100 things over a period of time. If you couldn't do it every single day, you would get up to 100. And so I had the idea to do 100 chairs, and a piece of art of some sort with 100 chairs, like one chair but 100 times, or more than one chair in a piece. And so several of those I did on my iPad. So digitally drawing is something I love to do as well. And I have these little chairs that I've bought from IKEA. They're little black chairs, and they're made to sit up against the wall to be hooks. But I use them around the house to make little displays of little seats, little seating spaces, seating areas. If you see my Instagram, you'll see them pop in. And so then I use them as props and inspiration for the drawings. And that started to really delight me. So using the iPad to draw was taking the pressure away from getting it right. It's easy to rub out, start again, and that kind of thing. You're not wasting materials, because that comes into play when your inner critic starts having a go at you and you're not painting in a way that really satisfies what you are wanting to paint. You have a vision in your mind of what you'd love it to look like, and you start and it's just not there. So that gap is very uncomfortable. You know, we call that creative tension, which keeps calling us forward to want to improve and have our work become better and better, and that's why we keep at it. But the working on the digital relieves that somewhat. And so that had me going for some time and doing all these different chairs. And so 100 chairs, DD, I've got a hashtag, I've been collecting them. I don't think I'm anywhere near 100, but you know, after 30 or 40, it felt like something that I just enjoyed. It's something that I'd done, a collection of things. It felt, I don't know, some sense of, well, I didn't do nothing. You know, I did something. Something is collecting, and it's a little bit satisfying. And the shapes of these chairs just started to really sort of intrigue me, and I was enjoying them and noticing chairs sort of everywhere now. And so these newer paintings, which I'll talk about soon, that collection there, the blue, which are very much kind of Whiteley blue, the palette of Brett Whiteley had a lot of blue in his work. So I'm reminded of his blue there. And then this 4 over here, they've all got their chairs, and so they're all part of that collection of sitting with it. And so the newer work that I'm doing at the moment is also carrying through, and there's still chairs, but there's new figures sitting within them, and they are all currently Matisse inspired. So therein shows me the journey I went from the beginning of the year, I'll just paint or I'll just draw some chairs, to now and then the chairs in these works, some of them were sitting empty, and I just felt like they wanted someone in them. So I started to put a figure back in the work. My early work 20 years ago when I started, all I painted was figures. And so I did that for 10 years and became tired of it. It was like a set in a groove, and you know, when people get typecast and that's all they can do. So I had to break away from it back then and try new things. And so, but it's really kind of been really beautiful for me to have figures returning in. They're just dropping back in, and they're kind of looking quite sort of soulful and sometimes a little bit sad. But you know, for the last year or two, there's been a lot of sadness. There's been a real lot of sadness and grief in the community and in the world. And so when I let myself be present to the reality of that, I choose to then let the beings in the paintings have the feeling that they seem to arrive with. That I don't intend to paint sad figures ever. I don't ever intend for that. But I do intend for an authenticity and an honesty in my work that has me making progress through my feelings of hopelessness to hopeful, and self-contempt and self-doubt to self-kindness and self-compassion. So many of the works you might see, if there's a figure and if she looks a little sad or thoughtful or pensive, I usually go out of my way to surround her in beauty. And I take really big attention to detail of how the painting is and what elements are in it. And so that's all I might share in this segment. And now I might go into showing you smaller collections about or single pieces that might not fit completely in that they seem a little odd, but I might just go into sharing more about each specific painting. So I'll leave this one here and come back with the smaller collection and chat about those.